TV is my phone as I'm filming. My pocket stuff nothing. It makes no difference.
I can't see with these big lights. I can't see anyone. We're just about to get started if everyone wants to relax and sit back. Welcome to anyone that's on the live stream watching us right now. Thank you all for coming along tonight. Fantastic crowd as usual. It's always good to see so many people. Seems like there's lots of vibe out there at the moment, everyone chatting away. A couple of things to start with. I'd like to thank Celdex. Celdex is sponsoring tonight along with Success Legal. Celdex, for those that may not know them, Celdex started in 1950. They are the longest continuing album manufacturer in Australia. They create albums, wall art, boxes, mounts and prints. One thing that's definitely worth noting is that everything is handmade in Australia in their factory in Melbourne. If you give them a call, you will actually speak to the people that are making it. They're at the back at the moment. I'm sure you would have seen them as you walked in. They've got lots of items on display for you to have a look at, and all of you will have received a brochure on your seat. Our other sponsor is Success Legal. Henry from Success Legal has been with us as a sponsor of Pro Photography WA right from the very beginning. I don't want to talk too much about Success Legal because he's going to be talking to you later on this evening. Right, a couple of things I also want to mention. We have the Christmas party coming up soon, 10th of December. It's going to be at the Northbridge Brewing place. I can't remember the full name of it. And that will start at 6 p.m. So members are free and non-members are going to be $40. You will have lots of food supplied and we will have drink available for you as well. Tickets for that are going to be available soon, even though they're free, but please register so we know how many people we've actually got. Sorry? Well, Santa might be able to if you're a good girl. Okay, for anyone here that's not a member of Pro Photography WA, please know that if you were to join now, you've still got a couple of months, 2 months before the end of the year. If you were to join now, your membership would take you right through till the end of 2024. So basically you get 14 months for 12. Worth noting as well, for those that are members, our membership renewals will be coming up at the end of the year, so we will be emailing out to you as reminders to get to obviously renew your membership for next year. Right, that's enough for me. We'll get into our first speaker of 10Q'd for this evening. Mike Jepson from Inception Video. Mike will film a short live video. This will allow you to see the equipment used in a video shoot, and we'll be able to ask Mike questions. Please welcome Mike Jepson.
Do I have to use the mic? Hey everyone. So you've heard the saying, save the best for last. I got put on first, so that gives you expectations for this little presentation. What I thought, lately, I've been involved in filming for about 20 years now, and initially started off in the wedding market, but our business has really moved heavily to the corporate market. And one of the things you guys have probably seen a lot of is that there's a lot of recruitment videos coming out. And a lot of times the recruitment videos are people just going, I love working here, this is the best job ever, all that kind of stuff. What we did is we've done a few of these where we did a different approach where we thought we'll sell the people who actually going to be your work colleagues. So the idea behind this style of video is that we get a handful of people from the workplace to answer random questions, so that when people watch the video afterwards they go, oh, that looks like a crew that I want to work with. And this has proven really, really successful, so much so that one of our clients that got us to film this for them, they've also got a branch over in Mackay in North Queensland, and they've just booked us to go over there and do the same thing over there. So it's obviously working really, really well for people. So what I thought I'd do though is show you a little bit of the equipment that we use to do this, and then we're actually going to film this. And if all goes well, I'll actually edit it while the other talks happen, so that you can actually see a clip up on the Facebook page at the end of the night. So no pressure for any of us, okay? So main thing we got here, you'll be familiar, it's a couple of soft boxes. We use that to light the main talent. Normally, we'd probably use brighter lights than these ones, but for the sake of this venue and the ease of getting in and out, that's what we got. We have a boom mic for the audio. We're actually not going to use that tonight because we're going to have two people here. We're going to use two lapel mics, and that is why I've chosen that camera as opposed to a DSLR. That camera has two audio inputs that I can control separately. So we're using the Canon C200 there, and it'll have two Sennheiser lapel mics plugged into it, so that we can change the levels accordingly, because one of our subjects is likely to be a louder speaker than the other. Not saying who just yet, but I think you know. Then we also have a backlight here. Just obviously you guys know about the hairlight. It's just to separate the main people from the background. In a proper setup, we probably would have two of these as well, and potentially brighter as well. And we may even have additional light to actually light the background, because quite often when I shoot this, I'll have a white backdrop for it. So what we're going to do, when we do things like this, it's best to always pick two very shy people to do it. So I've looked at the room, I've found the two shyest people, Des and Shireen. So if you'd like to come up, we'll get you mic'd up and we'll get this started. Yeah, so first up, you're going to drop this down your top and bring it down the bottom. That's a camera, by the way.
For you.
Drop that through there. We don't have that kind of time. So we've got a bunch of question cards here, which they're going to flip over one by one and answer the questions. As soon as Aaron's ready, Aaron's my assistant helping me do the filming. He's pretty much doing what you're doing now. So So what I would normally do is I would actually normally ask a couple of icebreaker questions before getting to do this. You know, introduce yourself, tell me how long you work here, that kind of thing. But because these guys are so comfortable in front of the camera, we're just going to really go for it.
I'm not comfortable in front of the camera.
Wrong side of the camera, Michael.
Wrong side. Is this the front? Oh.
That's it. So, Des, if you please, first card.
Really, first card. So, tell me if we get this right. Like that format.
Yep.
And if we get, this is like a drinking game. No, any question you
In fact, to make sure you don't drink, I'll take that.
But they're next to me.
Okay, take Des. Flip over the first card.
Can you read for the first question? How long have we got?
We're out of time.
Okay, here we go. First question. Thank you for saying that. I'll
You going to say it? Or?
Okay, first question's cats or dogs?
Okay, you are cats or dogs first.
Guinea pigs.
Okay. Is that? I think
Dogs.
cats eat guinea pigs.
That's it, guinea pigs.
We have a menagerie of all.
Dogs, long ones.
Dogs. Oh yeah, short ones.
Long
Thank you.
sausage ones.
That's right. River walks take about 2 hours. Takes forever to go around the block. Okay, is that?
that enough?
That's it,
Yeah?
that's it.
Does everybody have their
You had to pull it that question to answer?
Feel
You
free
happy
to
with that?
heckle. We got no idea by the way.
Just
We
the
have
next
no
one.
idea what the questions are.
Okay, here we go. Next question is.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No. No. Yeah, pineapple?
What's the dessert?
Bang.
It's all in one.
No, it's not.
It's
So no.
There we go. You're getting it right. Good work. Okay, ready for the next one?
Yeah.
What song gets you on the dance floor?
Every song will get me on the dance. There you go, there's no song. How's that? What are you smelling that for?
He's getting all emotional.
Yes, for you.
Probably the funeral march. No sign.
Next one.
Okay. Is that a problem with the microphone? No.
Sorry. The one behind you. You want to hear it?
Oh, we grabbed it.
We could have turned that one on.
Anyway, while we're waiting, what have we got there?
Best character from Friends. And look, I know I did put this together before Matt decided. Too soon. Too soon.
Too
But,
soon.
come on, let's see who your best character is.
Yeah.
Rachel.
I mean, when did Friends start?
Long time ago.
Yeah, so when I was that age, Rachel.
Rachel. I'll go Chad.
Oh, he was a funny guy, wasn't he? Just to watch it.
Yeah, I know, that was sad.
What have we got here?
How do you get people to smile?
I don't.
It's all natural. I don't know.
This is
Are
more.
you being serious?
This is more from a photography
Stop
background
it.
because how do you guys get people to smile?
Well, actually, don't ask them to smile. Because, yeah, you guys know what we're talking about.
I-
As soon as you do that, you get that cheesy.
I asked them what sort of vegetable each other are going to be.
I can.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
vegetable would you be? If you're going to be a vegetable, what sort of vegetable would you
Oh, I
be?
don't know. Something exotic. Artichoke.
Artichoke.
Artichokes, $3 for $1. Let's move on.
Yeah, didn't like that.
There's a game you can play. It's like you say the punchline, the other person has to tell the joke.
I'm terrible at this.
Have a go.
Primes or zooms?
What?
Primes or
Primes or
zooms?
Zoom?
Depends. I think I'm a prime. I think I'm a zoomer. I'm a zoomer.
Lazy or purist?
Oh! Ouch, 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 ouch. No,
I go prime.
I'll go zoom.
Because I reckon to zoom, you just move yourself.
Yeah, I go. Depends on whether you. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Next one. Nearly there, guys.
You need to read that one.
Who is your favourite videographer? I don't know.
Night from Inception video.
That's right. And an extension, say yes, Michael, you are our favourite videographer because you work with photographers. And our favourite album supplier is
Soundex.
Soundex.
And the last one is just a bit of
Last one.
Last one.
Would
Which one?
Which one?
Oh,
No, I want you to do that one in that hand. Yeah.
This one?
This
Yeah,
one?
okay. This one.
Go-to karaoke song. And sing a bit for us.
Go
I
on.
will swear at you. No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Now's the time. What's your karaoke song? You don't have to sing it.
What's yours?
Oh,
I will
Lou
survive.
Reed.
I will survive. Oh, I will
Walk
survive.
on the Wild Side.
Oh.
Lou Reed. You're a Walk on the Wild Side? Cool. Okay.
And the final thing you've got to do is take a selfie.
Oh,
Take a selfie.
Okay.
Let me get my best side, mate.
There we go.
Lovely. And so that's it. That's what we do.
That was terrible.
Cool.
I'm joking, Des. Relax. Oh, thank you very much.
I think that's the idea, wasn't it?
Hey?
This is music now, What you could do is next time you ask that question, if they didn't see Hamilton in the background.
Just go check that video. Had to darken it for their lights.
She should have been up there.
Yeah, just my thing.
Okay, we need to. It's the cables. Are you able to? And maybe that as well. Just thinking if the cables went around that way, they might.
Like turn to you. That's okay. That's something.
It's giving it a ram.
Okay. That's all right.
What about that way? Because that's rubbery.
That's on a film mic.
Yes. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to stand
Are you able to, can you project to everyone then? Because that's for in the room, the live stream. Yeah.
I'm pretty loud. I'm going to stand here. I'm pretty noisy.
Yeah. That's definitely, that's better. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's just a constant.
So Kel, I can just talk.
Yeah, so she's going to Yeah.
I'll just read that first.
Sorry.
Because I need to speak to everyone. You're right. Okay, moving on. Massive thank you to Mike. That was a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure those were the shyest interviewees we've had. Okay, moving on to our second speaker. Going to be nice and short and sweet with my introduction here. Kelly Pilgrim Byrne and her topic, From Desk to Dogs and Beyond, a midlife career change.
Thank you. So I can just talk? Or do I have to... I can walk around? Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. This is quite heavy, so if my boob falls out, will someone let me know? Because that could be embarrassing for all of us. I don't like mics, so I'm going to try and just talk. And if I'm not loud enough, do this so that I know you can't hear me. So, but after that video, I would quite like to come and work with you two, if that would be okay. Can I come? Yeah? Yeah. It works. Okay, so yes, mine is short and sweet. These are just going to roll round behind me so that you can see some of the work that I've done. I've been in business, I'm going into my 10th year this year, but in a time long, long ago, in a very different place, I was a senior admin person at Curtin University, and I was not a photographer. I didn't know I could take photos. I had no clue. And as I say, senior admin officer. And then in 2014 or thereabouts, Curtin decided they were going to do this big change, and it was called a quip, and it was a huge, massive change, and I didn't like it. And I didn't feel that I fit there anymore. So I decided that we were also boarding dogs, actually, and we still do that at home. So we were boarding dogs, and I started taking, well, the first camera that I had was just a little point and shoot, and I was taking photos of the dogs, and people were saying, oh, this is great, I want to buy them from you. And I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing, you actually can't buy these from me, here, have the photos. And then my partner, my now wife, she worked at Curtin as well in procurement, and she said to me one night, they're selling the old DSLRs. I want to buy one, let me buy one. And I said, nah, I don't need a DSLR, this is stupid, but you can get it. So she brought home the DSLR, I picked it up, and that was the end. That was the end. So whilst I was in this, like the whole change of employment, it was about 18 months that I taught myself photography, and I taught myself to photograph dogs, and I taught myself to photograph the dogs that were staying with us, and they would run at me full pelt, out the back or on an acre of land, and that's how I learnt. Dogs running at me at top speed, and I taught myself. And then during that phase, I don't know if any of you have heard of Charlotte Reeves from Queensland, very beautiful animal or dog photographer specifically. She came over, and I had a mentoring session with her, and we photographed a dog and its owner in Kings Park, and then we sat in a cafe and we edited together. And from that moment on, I thought, actually, I really love laying on my belly in the dirt, photographing dogs, and this is what I want to do. So I went and bought a proper camera, and then as soon as I was made redundant, I hit the ground running, and I went, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to photograph dogs. But I couldn't earn a living photographing just dogs. And so it's funny how serendipity works, I think, sometimes. And so the local newspaper, because I was 46 when this happened, so the local newspaper were doing a story on the middle-aged lady who was having a middle-age crisis. And they came to do a story on me, and they sent the head of photography, David Bayliss, and he took some photos, and I said to him, oh, if ever you have any work available, David, I'd love to hear from you. What? Anyway, 3 months later, he rang me and he said, Kelly, we've got a socials photography position available. Is anyone sensitive about swearing? What about, can we do that on live stream? Is that fine? Okay, good. So he rang me 3 months later and he said, Kelly, we've got a socials photographer job for the Western Suburbs Weekly. Do you want it? I said, oh, that'd be amazing, David. Yeah, I'd love that. Fantastic. Got off the phone, went, fuck. what does that do? You know, had no clue. And so my motto from the beginning was say yes and panic later. And that's exactly what I have done right from that time. So they sent me on my first job as a socials photographer for the Western Suburbs Weekly. I cocked it up in the most extraordinary ways. And I thought, there is no way they're ringing me to come back. It's just not going to happen. They did, and I really don't know why, but he did, and then I worked for them for 4 years. And through that process of working for them for 4 years, I made the most amazing contacts and had the most incredible opportunities. And I photographed, you know, international acts, and I did some news stuff, and it was the best learning, the best on-the-job learning I could ever have hoped for. You know, you'd go into a room, you didn't know where you were going, you had a sheet that said, get this many photos, go. And it was like an episode of Thank God You're Here, because you'd walk in and you'd go, God, is it going to be pitch black? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be, what's it going to be? And so you had to just teach yourself everything. And so that's how I learnt in those 4 years. And then they were bought out and I lost it. So, and so it's evolved from just dogs and pets to now everything, except I'm not huge on babies. Like don't get me wrong, I don't mind babies, but there are so many brilliant baby photographers and I'm not that. So I now also work with marketing agencies and advertising agencies, and we do, you know, a lot of beautiful campaigns for not-for-profits, which is lovely. And it's so nice to see your work end up being used for something so beautiful. And it's really rewarding. Like, it's actually really rewarding, and seeing the end result, which is why I've included some of the assets that, you know, that I've worked with recently, that you can sort of see. They've been on backs of buses, they've been all over the place. And other than the fact that you drive past a billboard and you go, that's my image, seeing it on a bus is amazing, but it's just making the connections, I think, with people that is huge and fantastic. So what am I doing now? I'm still doing dogs, because I do dogs because they're in my heart, and that's why my business is still called 7 to 1, 7 dog years to every human year. So that's where that comes from, and I've kept it because it is in my core. I have 5 dogs of my own, so very close to me. Animals, I love photographing animals. It's what I do when I want to actually just feel joy and do something that's not for money. I do a lot of really big events. So I do like the Highland Gathering, 30,000 people, or it's just me and generally one other shooter that comes and does that with me. So we do very, very big events, large events, and headshots, although I am looking to probably pass them off to someone else, if anyone's interested. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and Pro Photography WA, you know, has been brilliant in welcoming me in, because despite what this may seem, I really, really don't enjoy public speaking. I actually don't. But, you know, I think it's important that people know that there are many different pathways to get to a particular goal. And sometimes it's serendipitous and it just happens and it's luck and you're in the right place at the right time. Totally, that's what's happened to me. Tony, who I'm seeing there, I rang you, I remember, in the very, very beginning, and when I was doing some news stuff, and I rang Tony and I said, Tony, I really respect you, and can I buy you a coffee? And so we went and had a coffee, and he was so very helpful and supportive in terms of, you know, how to operate in the industry and how to operate with integrity, which is also really important to me. And so thank you for Tony and other people that have reached out and helped as well. So yeah, and now 10 years later nearly, so there you go. Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Oh yeah, happy to answer any questions if there are any. I've got 2 minutes. I talk like a steam train. Yeah, that's because I don't like public speaking. Any questions? Come on, someone Dorothy Dix me.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you got a particular type of breed of dog that you love photographing the most?
Griffins. Griffins. So the little guy on the boat, up like that, he's a griffin. He's a smooth coat griffin. We own 4 of them, 4 griffins. and a smooth collie, but actually just 4 legs and fur. And actually, they don't even really need to have fur, just 4 legs, and I'm happy. All 3. Tripods are good too. Like, you know, any dogs. I love working with, like this image here. Well, she is just a beautiful human being, and her mother passed away and did not get to see her get married. And so that was a set-up shot where we went down to Rayburn Orchards, and she wore the wedding dress, because it was during COVID. So she wore the wedding dress that she would have worn had her mother have been alive to see her, because her mother chose it with her. But the husband was not happy to be photographed, but he looks incredibly good, I think. And they wanted the birds of prey. So we got the Birds of Prey Centre to bring the big, you know, owl down and the big eagle down. And why? Well, they just wanted it. They just had it in their vision that they actually wanted birds of prey. So we brought them down, and that was amazing. I do a lot of work for the WA Foundation for the museum, which is one of their events. The one prior to that was, you know, guide dogs and invisibility. That's just one of my... And this has cropped things weirdly, so I haven't actually cropped people's feet off. I just need you to know. Yeah, Sandy Angie was the recent mayor candidate for the City of Perth, and so I did all of her campaign as well. And yeah, these images are from a long time back. This was like 2014 when I first started, and that's, you know, the Royal Show closing night. So yeah, loads and loads of stuff, really very much learning on the job and reaching out to people who, you know, were better than me and still are better than me, and learning constantly.
So are you still out and about at night doing events?
Yeah, and I think I'm starting to get too old. Like, seriously, it is quite, you know, when you get to that stage and it's just so busy, like I'm up most nights till 1:30 editing, and I'm at the computer and that's all I'm doing. I'm at the point now where a close friend of mine just said to me, you need to make it joyful rather than a chore. And I think that's where I'm at now. So I actually need to rebalance that. So I do a lot of stuff with guide dogs as well. Brilliant clients, beautiful not-for-profits, lovely work, and I love it. But I just need more family time at this point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you going to take it?
Notes. Forgot my notes. Everyone's going to giggle on that one. I think, Kelly, I think that's a very, very important point that you made about work-life balance. I think when you work, a lot of us who work for ourselves, it's probably one of the best things we can do is we have control over that, I think, which is really, really cool. So couldn't agree with you more there. All right, moving on to our third speaker. Our third speaker is one of our sponsors tonight from Success Legal, Henry Chu, and his topic, Why Lawyers Suck. Law, lawyers, legality get in the way of everything. How did a lawyer even get a slot at this 10-cubed event? And I do wonder if he's charging me per word that comes out of his mouth. Please welcome Henry Chu.
So thank you, Kelly, for talking. Thank you for being before me, and I'm going to suck the joy out of the room right now. You know, dogs, how do you compete against that, right? As I was introduced, Henry Chu is my name. I'm the owner of a firm called Success Legal. The PPWA were really scraping the bottom with the 10th speaker, and they begged me to come speak to you. They offered me dinner and wine, and you know, who says no to free feed, especially a bottom feeding lawyer. And they also promised me an audience. and that's you. So I'm really sorry, but yeah, I'm here and you have to listen to me. Suck the joy out of the room. I'm talking to you about why lawyers suck. And people have said to me that I have no problem swimming in Australian beaches because sharks don't eat their own. Yes, laugh, please. My next one is that how do you sleep at night with your fin? Laugh again, please. It's not very comfortable. It's not very comfortable when you don't laugh either. Lawyers have a bad rep, and I think they deserve it because they do suck. In preparation for this event, I played a little word association game. So, you know, we all play these games. You flash a word and you jot down the next word that you think of straight away. So I did that with lawyer, and I've also just learned hashtags because I'm trying to be cool. And so I played that game, and these are some of the things that I came up with. Who agrees? Come on, don't be afraid. Who agrees? Yeah, hell yeah, there you go. Who agrees?
I don't think so.
You have a very special mother-in-law. We already know that because I'm here for the free food. Not untrustworthy. Self-centered. I'm going to take 20 minutes. So there you go. The other truth to it is that some people think that we're worse than used car salespeople, and that is a little bit true as well. So by this time you'd gather that I hate lawyers, and I do. And so those of you who are smart asses in the room will say, well, that doesn't mean that you just hate yourself. And that is true too. I made my life a little bit more miserable by marrying a lawyer. And together we continue to make society a little bit more worse by breeding lawyers. So my daughter is a lawyer, and my son has just been admitted, well, no, he hasn't been admitted, but he's been given an early offer. He's in year 12, and you know, he's super not creative like you guys, and he decided that law would be the path that he would choose. So there we are, we've inflicted society. And yes, I do hate myself for it. So with all this in mind, we've got to think about, you know, why do lawyers even exist, right? As part of what we're talking about. And I gave this a lot of deep thought in preparation for tonight, and I spent about 5 minutes, and I came up with the answer. It's actually you, right? It's all you. And you can't handle the truth, I'm going to give it to you because of all those previous hashtags. So here's the truth, right? From the time that you were young and, you know, you have siblings or whoever, you made pinky promises with whoever that they wouldn't eat your chocolate in the fridge, they wouldn't play with your toys while you're at school and break your shit, and you just went like pinky promise. And to labour the point about pinky promises, I broke my pinky. I never make pinky promises because that. But that's just how life is, right? You make promises, and to seal the deal, you do a pinky promise. Fast forward to adulthood, and now you use your hold hand, right? You do a handshake, right? So wedding photographer, beautiful couple comes in and says that take our wedding photos. And handshake deal, the fee's $15,000, the date's the 7th of July, you rock up on the 8th of July, and you get paid $15, right? Good handshake deal right there. So that's humanity. We just do not trust anyone anymore, and that's where I suck the joy out of the room, right? We don't trust anyone, and I think it's getting worse. So enter the saviour to this picture, the lawyer. Right, turning this thing around now. You feel the momentum shift? Good. All right. So the bottom-feeding shark of humanity, the lawyer, enters the room, meets the wedding photographer. Wedding photographer says that I don't trust this bastard couple to pay my $15,000. I'll rock up on the 7th of July, but I don't trust them to pay me the $15,000. I need a contract so that if they don't pay, I can have the right to sue. Lawyer says, fantastic, you've come to the right person. I am the saviour of the world. Humanity needs me. But before you engage me, you can sign my contract so that if you don't pay me, I can sue you. So you see, it's humanity that's the problem here, and this rings true in WA certainly, and I think that we probably trust each other the least, because every damn university in WA has a law faculty now. It's true. Notre Dame, Curtin, Edith Cowan, Murdoch, UWA. There used to be only two, there used to be only one, UWA, and then Murdoch came along, and now everyone's jumping the bandwagon because humanity needs lawyers. I exist for that reason, right, to serve you guys. I'm breeding my own to fill the lecture halls for you people. Just want you to know that. All right, as we said, trust no one. This is what happens to your wedding photographer. You don't get a contract, so come see me. All of that sucking of joy requires some healing, right? And it's now time for some healing, right? I don't want to suck all the joy out of the room. You all look really sad. I know some of you are weeping, gnashing your teeth. So now it's a time for healing. So all of you stand up. Go on, stand up. Stand up. Good. If you can't stand up, someone help them. Right, say after me. Right hand on your heart. Say after me. I blame myself. Give yourself a clap. Give yourself a clap. Thank you very much. I've just manipulated my own standing ovation. Because of my self-centeredness, I just sat down and drink my beer. But any questions? Or do you feel like you've got to go home and slash some wrists? Sorry. There's.
Yes, Henry, I have I've used lawyers on occasions,
I feel so sorry for you.
but I would have good stories. Mind you, I did send a thank you letter to a lawyer for all the good work he'd done, and when I got his invoice, he charged me to read that. Yeah, 6 minutes.
Hashtag shit happens.
However, a couple of things. Right, so once the good lawyer's worth their weight, because yes, it's expensive, but in the right scenario, they will save you more than what they cost. But something that's, and I think I kind of know the answer, but something I think is misunderstood is that if I meet with you for half an hour or an hour, there's a cost to that, and it's a lot more than what I think that hour is. So the question's going to be, why is that?
Why do we have an exorbitant hourly rate? Well, when you multiply that, when you multiply the consultation with your doctor, their hourly rate's actually higher. That's my defence. No, it's not. Look, I guess it actually is quite an expensive profession to be in. Our insurances are quite high. Grad lawyers expect the world and give you nothing. It's expensive to run the practice, and the insurances are expensive. So I think part of that is that factoring into it, because it's just like any other profession. I know we don't do surgery, and I know it's not about life and death, but that's not important when it comes to money. And
So what are some of the things that you actually do?
not much, as you can tell. Give these presentations.
Like contracts, all that sort
Sure.
of stuff. What else do you do? Do you jump on the table and do dancing?
Depends on the hourly rate.
Is there water involved?
Could be. As far as the practice is concerned, there's three main areas. Business law, so contracts, purchasing and selling of businesses, anything to do with business. This is really popular now, really sucking the life out of the room. I deal with death, so deceased estates and wills and things like that, so pre-death, post-death, and also property.
What do you mean property?
Subdivisions, apartment sales and things like that, and also conveyancing.
Can you get a generic rule for like weddings that you can give to every person, or do you have to get it
So the brutal answer to that is that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So if a lawyer's already done it, then it's just really a matter of implementing what has been done previously, and then updating any terms and conditions with relevant legislation. But if you're starting out afresh, jump on the internet, something called Google, and go look at other wedding photographers' terms and conditions and steal the best bits out of them. It's a lot cheaper than engaging a lawyer. And then when you've stolen everything and you aren't quite sure because there's so many terms and you don't actually know what it means, bring it to a lawyer, it's a lot cheaper, and then we'll just sort it out. But you need that, you don't need that. And then
I'm guessing we need a different lawyer for copyright, not you.
Oh, what?
Different lawyer for copyright, not you.
So,
Because you
so
said-
patent attorneys aren't real lawyers. Let's change a few words, you'll be fine. There's a percentage. Later on, when you buy me a wine, I'll tell you what that percentage is. I part-time as a comedian. Any other questions? I can't give you a serious answer, so I do.
Where do we get access to your details and things like that? Is it on the website?
PPWA website. Have you not found it? We need to renegotiate.
I just let you guys know. You're on there. Success Legal. Google Success Legal.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my 5-star Google rating. Someone gave me a 1-star the other day, and I reported them to Google, and they're relevant.
Well done. Thank you.
I think it goes down after a while, but you have to press play. So press that, press play on it.
Thank you very much for that, Henry. Also, just so it is worth knowing, if you're a member of Pro Photography WA, we have contracts, examples of contracts on the website, obviously for you to customise and give you a head start on where you're going if you're needing new ones. Okay, that was very funny. Thank you so much for that, Henry. All right, our next speaker, our 4th speaker of the night. So we're getting through them and we're getting nearly halfway. 4th speaker is Alicia Thrift from Good Life Portraits. Her topic is what the camera doesn't teach you. Knowing your gear is definitely a major part of being a photographer, but what about what they don't teach you? She'll be talking about how to put yourself out there and how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Please welcome Alicia.
Because you're not going to be able to see me behind that. So.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm out of my comfort zone, so bear with me while I stammer through this. And please watch the slideshow instead of looking at me. It would help me out a lot. Thank you. If it works. Maybe not. There we go. Okay. Awesome. So, yeah, I'm Alicia. I've been working professionally in the industry for about 5 years now. I'm the head photographer at Good Life Portraits. I specialise in newborn, family, kids, that sort of thing, but I do shoot a bit of everything, couples, boudoir, a bit of everything. My story's as cliche as it gets. Always loved cameras as a kid. Forever in the backyard shooting like little documentaries with my brother. We were big fans of the Irwins at that stage. Or whether it was just sort of chasing mum and dad around the kitchen while they're doing dishes, being like, smile, that sort of thing. As I got older, I rediscovered photography through high school, picked up the camera in one of my media classes and pretty much just didn't put it down from there. Where am I at? I later learnt that my great-granddad was a photographer through the Navy. From that stage, it pretty much just pushed me even harder to work towards what I wanted. At that stage, wasn't too sure where I wanted to go. Finished up high school at year 10 and went straight to TAFE for 2 years from there. Finished with my advanced diploma and really knew that TAFE was going to push me out of my shell, hopefully help me find where I wanted to go. Well, yes, I did learn so much and was definitely pushed to test those creative skills. I also didn't realise how much I would have to mature while I was there. To put it in perspective, I was 15, catching the train into the city every day, never been on the train, barely ever gone into the city. I was the youngest in my class. Everyone there was at least twice my age, so couldn't be that sort of young, immature 15-year-old. A lot of people sort of thought, or I had the impression that a lot of people might look at me and sort of go, you know, it's just a bit of a get out of school free card, see how long she lasts sort of thing. But I kind of put that aside and wanted to prove not only to my classmates and my lecturers, but prove to myself that no, I am here, I'm allowed to be here just as much as anyone else, and that I will get a career out of this. Fast forward 2 years, I graduated with my advanced diploma. I was confident behind the camera, or I thought I was confident behind the camera. I approached absolutely everyone, every studio, I went to different cafes, I did a bit of real estate stuff for a while. Where am I at? While I was doing the real estate sort of stuff, started with just pretty much a bit of a portfolio. After actually doing a couple of commercial jobs, getting stuck in a stairwell, but we won't go through that. I ended up volunteering at a couple of different studios, as most people would, sort of volunteered to carry around different photographers' bags. Was lucky enough to actually work with Steph King for a little bit as well, just helping her out at a couple of different shoots. Approached quite a few studios as well with my folio, my certificates from TAFE, all that sort of stuff in hand. Called, went in multiple times, never really heard anything back. At this stage, I was just kind of shooting for myself. I knew once I put down the camera, I probably would lose passion. So I wanted to keep myself accountable, keep going for it, even if I was doing similar sort of stuff quite regularly. I came across this one little studio, absolutely fell in love with their work, the vibe, everything there. So I thought, why not? Got nothing to lose, the worst they can say is no. So yeah, went off, sent an email to the manager or the boss of Good Life Portraits. The next day, I followed up with a call, and one of the girls took a message. The next day, I followed up with an email. I pretty much annoyed the crap out of whoever was on the reception, wanting to get an interview or a call back or something like that. Yeah, got the call, had an interview there, thought I was super confident, had my portfolio ready to go. I was like, yep, this is the one, I've got it. Got there, absolutely froze. Didn't know why I was there. I was like, yeah, cool, these are my photos. Yeah, cool, it's all right. Got in the car, called my mum, and was like, nah, I messed it up. Don't know what I'm gonna do. Couple of days went past again, still couldn't stop thinking about it, called them, emailed them, same sort of thing. Got to the point, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I thought, nah, it's just not gonna be, I'll look at other options. Wanting to follow my granddad's career, okay, we'll look at Navy. As I was sort of filling out the enrolment sort of thing for it, I had a call. Later found out as well, again, annoyed the crap out of him, till Ben, my boss, was actually on holidays, and he's like, sorry, the reception's bad, I'm on holiday, but we're gonna give you a try. Ran downstairs, again, straight to mum with a bit of a hop, skip and a jump, tears going down my face. I got the job! I was absolutely stoked, absolutely stoked. Yeah, was offered the full-time role, pretty much like a bit of an apprentice, just shadowing Ben, every shoot, retouching, every phone call, everything was next to him. Fast forward 12 months or so, I began shooting after practicing multiple of my own shoots, families, couples, as many babies as I could find. Also started training in retouching to the point where I actually ended up being the production manager. So I was retouching, printing, sending off albums, everything there. Once I got into shooting clients and watching Ben, I actually realised how much I do not know about the industry and how much I don't know about people. Once I was in there, again, directing I always knew was one of my big things that I had to work on. But I was lucky that I did get quite a lot of inspiration, a lot of mentoring from Ben while I was watching all these different kind of shoots. When I was there, or when I first started, you were lucky to get 3 or 4 words out of me. let alone making silly noises to get a kid laughing or something like that. We later had a group of 26 people, which really pushed me to my limits of controlling a room of adults, again, at a young age, but actually ended up going rather well. And I kind of just learnt that they're people. Don't talk to them like a client, it's a person. Relax. That's all you have to do. No one can tell you how to connect to someone else. Advice, yes, but how do you make the dad of 3 who's taken time off work, who hates photos and anything to do with them, how do you get them to relax? See, these photos aren't for him, but really for little Johnny when he's had kids to show to his. And how, of course, do you get him smiling, or any of them smiling, without it making it look like a posed school photo? How do you take control of the scene? Watching a 3-year-old playing with your light in the corner, the 5-year-old brother that's just spilt mum's coffee absolutely everywhere, while reassuring mum that it happens every day, it's our normal as well, remaining calm enough that you can wrap up the 3-day-old baby without making him cry, and of course, still manage to get the toddlers interacting and wanting to be in the photo. All of this sort of stuff is what you sort of have to plan and get to know. Again, that connection, just talk to them like real people, make those funny noises for the kids, get them laughing, get them reacting. All of this sort of stuff is done before you take that first photo, before you even step into the studio. And try it. If it doesn't work, you've learned something. Every kid, every parent, all going to be different. I very quickly learned that there's no telling a toddler what to do, let alone telling a newborn. I tried many different things and eventually learned how to pick up on different cues. Toddlers don't have a massive attention span, like anyone who has any kids or has worked with kids would know. So I learned to start with the toddler. Start with the family photos, start with the individuals, so that way when he's bored, you can be like, okay, we have a toy box outside, you go have a play while we photograph your baby brother or sister. Getting them to sort of interact and help me through photo shoots. So a lot of the time, if it's their second baby, parents will come in flustered, a little bit nervous, not really knowing what to expect. A lot of people will say that they almost feel a little bit bad, that obviously they've been focusing on their new baby and not so much giving attention to the toddler. So I will give my attention to the toddler. I'll get them a little teddy. Okay, do you think the little lion or the bunny's better? Can you help me put it in the basket? If they're, depending on how old they are, let them have a go, let them look behind the camera. Just get them involved in any way that you sort of can. I had one, for example, same, let me help her, or helped him pick a teddy out. Had him come over and said, okay, can you come sit behind the basket for me? So that way he was sort of set up for the shot of the 2 of them together. Okay, can you help me put the teddy over here? Beautiful. I've got that shot of him interacting with the baby, placing the teddy. Beautiful, good job, look what you've done. He looks up, he smiles, bang, you got the next shot. A studio can be a little bit scary, a bit intimidating, not only for little ones, but for parents as well. A new space, new people, big lights, sometimes even the camera itself can be a little bit nerve-wracking for them. The first thing I do, whether they look worried or not, is bring the camera up to them, bring it up to mum and dad, and let them trigger the flash. Let them know that these big scary lights aren't all that scary, and it's actually kind of fun. And as soon as you've done that, you'll get a smile, you've got the first connection with the kid. Once you've got the kids smiling, you've got the parents. You're done. Every chance that I get, I'm practicing new wrapping styles. I'll jump into the studio, grab a bunch of random fabrics, okay, these are what I'm going to use. What can I do with them? What else can I change to make it a bit different? As most of you would know, we all sort of go through a bit of a creative lull at some point in our career, sometimes multiple times. But being able to pick up on that, and whether it's have someone else look at your work, I'll get Ben to look at my work and sort of nitpick a little bit, and then once I've seen those things, that's all I'll see, and I'll fix them up. It re-inspires again. Or getting someone, again, to set a bit of a challenge for you. If the parents or whatever come through and they say, I like this photo, get them to match, or do your best to get to that one. Don't stop learning. I'm still learning, and like I said, I've been in it for 5 years. I know some of you have been in it for a lot longer. Again, try that something new. But above all, if you've got the patience, put down the camera, talk to people, you'll get what you need and what they need. Yeah, thank you. Go on, Benny. Yeah.
At what point did you realise that you actually made it?
Probably my second or my third year in, where I was shooting full time, and Ben didn't necessarily have to be at the studio watching or helping me. So, yeah. Anyone else?
Any unusual requests? Like animals and stuff? Not looks like you would them.
Yeah, we
Oh,
had.
Mainly from me, Shereen.
Yeah.
Like, did you get any weird animals coming through?
In my first year, we had someone bring in a chicken. And
Awesome.
like it was like a big bird chicken, so the big fluffy head, skinny little neck, and the big body again.
Yeah.
And it was probably the most calm animal we've ever had in the studio. It just sat there the entire time. It was so good.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a pet chicken.
Yeah, pet chicken. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And can you explain why Ben is the best boss in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because he's watching me right now.
He just sold me $50 before I walked up.
Well, he's the guy that gave me my dream job, my career. He's, like I said, he's the one that made me cry when I got the offer. So, yeah.
Oh, well done.
Someone just got a pay rise?
All right. Moving on, our next speaker is Adriana Catalano
Hi.
with her topic, Therapeutic Benefits of Photography. Adriana's had the privilege of working in the photographic industry for nearly 2 decades here in Perth. She wants to take you on a journey into the world of photography, but not in the way you might expect. We often talk about the technical aspects and the artistry of photography. However, what she wants to shed light on is the therapeutic power of this medium. Her work as a photographer is not just about capturing moments or creating beautiful images. It's about helping people heal through the lens of her camera. Please welcome Adriana.
Few technical difficulties as this slideshow was prepared about 2 days ago. Oh, we're not supposed to tell anyone.
No. Do you want to stand behind?
I will,
or-
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let Shereen Kelly fix my mess.
There we go. And I will get out of the way.
No, it's not working. Hang on, sorry, 2 secs. Just see if I can stop it. No, I want to change the this. Yes, that's amazing. Not sure about that, but we'll figure it out.
Hopefully that works.
We will figure it out. It's okay. So good evening, everyone. I'm Adriana Catalano, and I've had the privilege of working in the photographic industry for nearly 2 decades here in Perth. I'm the studio manager and one of 3 photographers at Zest Photography in Perth. So when I was brainstorming what to discuss with you guys today, I considered the typical topics, my career, the ins and outs of running a studio, the technical aspects of photography. While all these are essential aspects in our field, I believe it's important to delve into a facet of photography that sometimes remains in the shadows, its healing abilities. You see, when I'm behind the camera, what truly fulfills me is the incredible potential that lies with the people in front of the lens. Today I want to share with you a perspective of photography that often goes unnoticed, the healing aspects of this art form. Photography is not just about the images we produce, it can also be part of someone's healing journey. A significant role I play as a photographer is helping my clients discover the best of themselves. Many women come to our studio at Zest, and these women come with a story. Many of these stories are filled with pain, and they are coming to us looking for a solution to their problems. For example, we have found so many women that suffer from lack of confidence. A little bit of what I'm doing right now. We've recognised that tackling the negative visuals in their minds, the issues that are holding them back, can lead to a profound transformation. It becomes a journey of healing for our clients. I've had the privilege of photographing those women who lacked the confidence in themselves, some who have endured domestic violence, These women who have been made to believe for years that they are worthless. This cycle of violence and lacking confidence have left them in a deep-seated negative self-image. This can only be changed by a surge of positive emotions and visuals, which will usher in a new way of thinking and a positive self-image. You might wonder how a photography session can change someone with such deep-seated, self-image or deep-seated trauma. Well, we believe that the change begins by altering the way someone sees themselves and ultimately how they feel about themselves. So how can we as photographers help our clients to move towards a healthier sense of self? I've added a few simple guidelines or concepts that we follow with our clients which may help you with yours. First, rapport is essential. We start by building a strong foundation with our clients to ensure they fully trust us, that they are safe and in a non-judgmental space. This encourages them to speak freely and discuss why they want the photo shoot in the first place. As photographers, we often ask about the how and the where and the what, but how often do we ask about the why? We have found that the question why can elicit a deeper meaning behind the photo shoots, which means that there's more value for our clients. We offer a different perspective, showing my ladies that the opposite to self-loathing is self-love. It has immense power. There is an immense power in the what if, and it acts as an incredible tool in scenarios where women are yet to believe in themselves. For example, for someone who's sabotaging themselves by saying things like, I'm not photogenic, I won't look good in these photos. I answer that with, what if you do look good in these photos? What if I could show you the best photo of yourself that you've ever seen? It's a big statement, I know. This loosens their negative mind frame and gives them a possibility of a different perspective. I'd like to add that the above tool will only work with absolute belief. I have 100% certainty in what I can do for my clients. I have seen it with my own eyes, and if I don't believe it, then neither will they. Once they've reached the studio, encouraging them throughout the shoot, creating a safe, comfortable space for the women to explore is a key. Everyone just wants to feel loved and worthy. I'm also a bit of a dork. Honestly, when I'm in the studio, I've probably fallen over something at least once throughout a shoot. It tends to relax my clients. They see that I'm a normal person, and I don't do it on purpose. I'm just clumsy. The last step in the process is showing them the photos. Because I've been able to get them to open up to me, I'm able to hit the brief, and I'm able to deliver exactly what I've promised. The most beautiful photos that they've seen of themselves. It helps for them to realise that they are worthy and enough. It still always surprises me how many people don't realise how beautiful they are. I go through this process with each of my clients, and this gives me a deep sense of purpose, that I'm making a difference for someone. Photography for me is not merely about posing in front of a camera or saying cheese. It's about discovering those unique stories and the individuals who allow me to show them a side of themselves that they haven't seen or maybe they've forgotten. I would love to share just one of my clients' stories. We do have many, but we do feature these on our website, and we use these stories as tools to help other women decide whether a photo shoot will help them with their issues, problems, lack of self-confidence. Jess, let's see if I can make this work. There you go. Jess was one of the ladies that really did impact me on a personal level. She had gone through so much in her life. Jess's story was real and vulnerable, and she shared her struggles with us. And she's been able to inspire other women in their journey of self-healing. These are her words. I have been having a tough time medically. I have gone through many surgeries, the most recent being an ectopic pregnancy that almost claimed my life. My body had changed so much and been through so much. I felt so unattractive, and at the time only being married for not even 2 years, I had the biggest fear of being ashamed of how I looked for my husband. I was feeling unattractive, and I was feeling like I was losing myself more and more each day. I have never found myself as beautiful or confident. I was afraid that I would never be proud of looking at myself. The main reason for this photo shoot was I realised I wanted to do something for myself and needed to step outside my comfort zone. The photo shoot was such an emotional roller coaster. It took a little while for me to step outside my comfort zone. I was very nervous, and at times I felt like I was not worthy to be in front of the camera. But as time went on, I started to feel like a woman again. I started to feel some empowerment, and I was proud of myself for following through with this experience. I owe everything to Adriana. This lady is amazing, and I couldn't have done it without her. I still have my challenges, but this experience has impacted the way I see myself. When I saw the images for the first time, I cried. I can't even explain. For a minute, I had to stop and realise I was looking at myself and not someone else. For the first time, I felt beautiful looking at an image of myself. I am honoured to have these photos. They mean so much to me. It is a reminder of what I have gone through and what I have survived. I can't wait to have the photos on my wall to remind me that even on the bad days, I am a strong, beautiful woman. We asked Jess to answer this question. What would you say to women in the same position as you? Her response was beautiful. We are our own biggest critics. Allow and trust someone to show the world how beautiful you are. I hope you all enjoyed my talk and take something away from it, understanding that the power we have as photographers is quite special, and that photography is not only about capturing moments, it can also be a tool to use that we use to help heal and transform lives. So thank you, and thank you to... and thanks to Pro Photography for inviting me to speak. Wait, one more. There you go. No, it's gone. Nice. Any questions?
I want to throw a comment in.
Alan.
That's one of the best. And so if somebody asks you, why do you do photography? That is one of the best answers I've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. Yeah. It is driven by purpose, which is really lovely. And obviously I do weddings and I love pet photography and we do families, but there's something about being able to see a woman walk into the studio terrified, just like I am right now, and walk out completely different in 2.5 hours. It's special. Thanks. Hi.
Do you work with men?
Of course, yeah. Absolutely. There's a big sort of surge in the same confidence issues with men. It's a little bit different because we are female, but yeah, absolutely. All are welcome. Yeah. Anyone else? That's it. Amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Adriana. We are halfway through. Time to have something to eat, time to have a break now. Just to let you know, just want to thank Henry from Success Legal because he might have to head off soon. So if you do have any questions for him, you want to jump in now while we're still having a bit of food. In terms of dietary requirements for the food, the round pizzas will be gluten-free. The square pizzas are regular, normal, bad-for-you pizzas. And we do have one vegan pizza, but we ask that if you're not vegan, please refrain from grabbing onto that pizza because there's obviously, yeah, because Kelly Pilgrim Burn is it's her pizza. All right, we are breaking now. We will be back in about an hour's time, so please go get yourselves drinks. Go see Celdex, have a look at their products and enjoy. For those in the live stream, I'm going to spin the camera around now and show you all what you're missing out on. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I can leave it there. Don't listen here, or shall I give it to you now?
It looks a bit like I just carry my own wine around.
Just don't forget to take it, please. Please.
All right, everyone, we're about to get started on the next 5 speakers. I've got all night. It's your own time you're wasting. What's that?
I'm in bed.
Right, are we all here? We're all ready to go? Everyone had lots of food? Everyone had a few drinks? All right, let's get moving on. I want to introduce the 6th speaker for tonight. Our 6th speaker is Jason Soon. His topic is capturing love and winning hearts. With over 15 years experience as a professional wedding photographer, Jason will uncover the magic behind photography awards, how they influence himself and his clients. Additionally, he'll discuss how he sets himself apart by providing tangible emotional connections to his clients' cherished memories. Please welcome Jason Soon.
Hi guys. Test, test. One, two, one, two. Is it on?
Yeah, it is. Let me just make it a bit higher
Okay.
because we're all short asses.
Oh, that's probably a bit too
Better?
high.
Too high? Tilt the thing down though, because it's, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yep. Hi everyone, thank you for having me, and thank you for Pro Photography WA. I always get chuckled up saying that. And thank you for Henry for, what do you call it, sponsoring this event, and Celdex as well at the back. I'm a wedding photographer, and I'm here to share with you how photography awards and entering competitions have had such an influence on myself as a photographer, and also how they've influenced my clients. Kick it off with a fun fact. 11,245. That's the number of marriages in WA last year. So that's a lot of weddings and a lot of love stories to be told and photographed. So a little bit about me. I've been doing weddings since 2007 for just over 15 years now. And the way I fell into it was, I actually didn't decide to become a wedding photographer. I actually fell into it. So short story, one of my friends asked me to shoot their wedding, and at that time I said, nah, no chance. At that time I was just interested in taking pictures of flowers and random stuff. But I said, yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot, because he said that, as long as, he said that I didn't expect much. So I said, all right, good, because it would be my first time. And from then, I actually fell in love with it. I found that wedding photography opens you up to a lot of different skills and things. So enough about me. Talking about awards, a show of hands, who's actually entered any of the photography awards or awards in general? Yeah, maybe half of you guys. I see some elbow nudging. So one of the reasons why I enter is it's not about winning the award. It's about the journey through entering, and there's much more to it. It both has transformed myself and my career. So what do I mean by that? It's like the anticipation of seeing your image that you've entered being judged by fellow peers. It's just really amazing, and the inspiration they can get when you can view a lot of other photographers' work, and different genres as well. And so I highly encourage everyone to give it a shot. I know this year was like the first year Pro Photography did their photography awards, and I recall, I think Frank or Saul from Camera Electronic, he said that WA is the only state to have these awards at the moment. And I thought, yeah, and I thought that, wow, we're super lucky to have a community like this, like Pro Photography WA, here to support all the professional photographers. So I thought that was really amazing. And another thing we'd like to touch on later is about trust with your clients. So again, it's not about the trophy at the end, it's not about winning, although it's nice to win an award here and there. But every time I enter, it's sort of like a milestone in my professional career. So when I look back at all the images I've entered over the last few years, I can see a transformation in my style and the way I look at things and the imagery. It's been a huge part of my professional development, because when I'm out there shooting a wedding, I'm trying to capture the best images I can for my client, for my couples. And at the back of my mind, there's always this thing saying, oh, you got to create something really epic for them. You got to make that award-winning shot, or things like that. So that's one of the things. It's not the only thing, but it's one of the things that pushes me at every photo shoot. Also, it's helped me challenge myself and try new things and new techniques. So when I talk about trust with my clients, when I meet with a client for the first time, or they have a look through my photos and they see my portfolio and they look at some of my awards, it's like a topic I can talk to them about why I enter these awards and some of the reasons why I've told you guys. And I guess it instills a sense of trust and confidence with the client, with the couple. It's assurance for them on the day that they're hiring me as their photographer, that I'm dedicated to excellence. I'm dedicated to trying to capture the best shots I can for them on the day. And I think that's really important when you're having that trust and you're having that relationship with your client. So one of the other important things that it's led me to is it's been able to let me have the creative freedom to be able to do the things that basically I can do whatever I want on the wedding day within reason, because they allow me to do that. They trust me. And because of entering awards and getting these accolades, that forms part of it. One of the other things that I want to touch about, which is a big part of what I do, is how to set yourself apart. So in this market, it's a saturated market with a lot of photographers. I've been doing it for 15 years. I've seen a lot of photographers come and go. So I want to touch on what I feel will set you guys apart, or what has set me apart, I believe, and kept me going. And it's all about the experience. So what that means is providing a full service experience, making it unforgettable for them from the start to the end. So from the initial meeting when I meet them through to the wedding day, after the wedding day, I'm holding their hand, I'm giving them a custom experience, I'm giving them beautiful artwork. That's one of the big things for me, is I love creating beautiful artwork so the couples can put it on their wall, and creating beautiful wedding albums and telling their story in the best way I can. So I think creating that element, that full service element, I think is really important. That will set you apart. And I'm sure Celdex at the back, they'll tell you more about it. That's it from me. Thank you very much. Do we have time for questions?
Any questions?
Yes, Adriana.
How do you come up with your concepts for your award shots? Is it off the cuff while you're at a wedding, or do you kind of pre-plan before you get to a shoot because you've met the couples?
No, good question. A lot of the times it's off the cuff. I watch a lot of the movies. I look at a lot of things. That's where I get my inspiration from.
Yeah.
And sometimes it plays out on the day. Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Hello. How many weddings do I do a week? Hopefully one a week. So originally I started out doing, I think I did about 10 weddings in my first year. Second year I did, I think, 20 to 30. 30 I did 50 plus. And then after that I thought, nah, it's too much. So now I think a good number for me is between 20 to 30. Yeah. So we would rather spend that time on each client than less time on and do more. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. That was awesome. And again, work-life balance. Okay, going to be calling on our 7th speaker for tonight. Our 7th speaker is Liz Barker. Now, the only thing I've got here written is that her topic is a few moments which have defined my approach, or her approach to photography. But I would just like to say that Liz is one of the most fantastic photographers that I've gotten to know. She photographs the urban landscape, something I absolutely adore myself. And she's one of my inspirations, and I feel that we tend to push each other to what we can do, and she's been doing some absolutely amazing, innovative images that I just didn't think you could do for the urban landscape. So I'd like to welcome Liz Barker. I'm sure you're going to really enjoy this. No hi.
Thanks, Mark. That's just like, oh, that's awesome, because Mark is an inspiration to me. Is that all right? You can hear me here? Yeah, all good? All right, what I'm going to talk to you about today is, when I was asked to speak here, I thought, what can I share? What can I tell about my story? I came last year and I've listened to some amazing speakers, and the speakers that were amazing tonight, and I thought there's some things that I've experienced in my photography journey that have been like a slap in the face to me. Like, they were the big aha moments. They were like profound and made a huge difference to how I move forward in my photography. I haven't studied, I'm not a professional, but I'm very passionate and I love what I do. So, push the button. Today I'm going to talk about some of those moments. Moving on to this one. Okay, and I've set the slideshow to go, so I'm just going to catch up or whatever, so I'm going to be winging it. So if it says, I've experienced a few profound moments which have changed, which have had a significant impact on the way I approach and feel about my photography. So I'm going to share some of these with you. So the first one I'm going to talk about is that moment when I realised that my camera was to create photos and not take photos. I'm sure many of us have been there, but that I actually had a moment that happened. It was quite a benign moment, and I'll share that with you. The second one was a conversation I had when I was getting a headshot at work, and I had a conversation with the photographer, and that just turned into something amazing for me, and it had a huge impact. It took me a while to respond to that, but it resonates with me today. The third one was liberation and isolation. Now, some of you would know my story there, but when I got locked up in isolation, everything opened up for me in photography, and I'll just share some of that with you. And the last one is something, we've actually had a conversation a bit about here tonight. It wasn't so much of a moment, but it's a realisation about the balance between quality and quantity. And when we reach a point where I'm not so much focused on pushing my work out, now I want something I'm a little bit more discerning. I've got to that point where now I've just got to love my work a little bit more, and just balancing that quantity versus quality. Moving on. So anyway, I'll start on the first one. The first one and these photos are going to be ones related to the story. These are early photos I took once I discovered how to use my camera. So the pictures in here are around the story I'm telling. So this one, the moment the penny dropped that my camera was a tool for creating image and not just taking pictures, this was a really benign moment, and it had really nothing to do with that moment. I did a short 6-week night school TAFE course on how to use a DSLR, and I was had my Canon 450D at the time. And this moment happened when the instructor took us out one night to the garden, cranked up the ISO and told us to take a photo. And I saw that you could take a photo with this camera in the dark without a flash. And there was something about that. It was, the penny just dropped, and it was just like, this is not just something to take a camera. This is something that I own this, I can control it, and it's malleable for me. I can create something from this, and my whole world around photography changed from that moment. And some of the early pictures I took using different techniques. The next one was my conversation. This was amazing. I corporate headshot with benefits, not the benefits you think, but the photographer, I was early, I must have been early in the day because he had time, and I chatted about his gear and this and that, and I was a sort of an aspiring photographer, and he was happy to chat with me, and I don't know what we talked about, but a couple of days later, he sent me an email, and he asked me two questions, and he gave me a lot of feedback. And first question was, do you A, want your work to look like art and have that beautiful feeling and quality and emotion about it, or B, do you want it to look like commercial pat, no different to what everybody else is doing? Those were his words. And of course I'm going to say A, right? Because who's going to say B? Anyway, so that, and he gave me a whole lot of information with that email. I went back to him and says, it's A, of course, and he came back and he just gave me such direction and such insight that I look at it, think of it today, and it just stuck with me all this time. This was a few years ago. He says, develop a sensibility about how you want your images to feel, and cultivate an interest in images, not gear, and stand on the shoulders of giants. And with that, he gave me a whole list of photographers that appealed to him. And I looked at all of them, I went through their work. He also said, look at artists, the famous artists, the Rembrandts and so on. And these are some of the photographers. Elliot Porter, he recommended a book. I found it. It's out of print, but I found one. It's amazing. It's about intimate landscapes. Beautiful, just beautiful work. Franco Fontana, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't know if you know Mark, but you need to look. So he gave me all of this, and he wrapped it all up with this message that it's a journey and it's a beautiful one. It will enrich your life, I guarantee it. It will influence the way you see our world, and that's a truly wonderful thing, and it so is. I've had several people say to me now that I don't see what you see. Well, you're not looking, right? So it was so precious what he gave to me in that messages, and he gave me so much more after that as well. And I promptly took all that. I was sent away. I went on an expat assignment in Europe a few years ago. I went to Europe and I did B. I went and took all the commercial PAP. I even joined Location Scout so I could go all the same places everybody else had been, and I take the same pictures. So, that's what you do when you're time constrained. I don't regret it. Well, that went too fast. Anyway, at the end of that, I came back. Am I still playing? I came back and I got locked up, as we did when we went overseas during isolation. This was my turning point. After having that conversation for the headshots and then going away and doing everything that I said I didn't want to do, which was amazing. I've got some great shots. I've got an amazing photo book of all my Instagram photos. But when I came back, when I got locked up in isolation, these are my 14 photos, one a day. The day I woke up, I looked out my window, I saw the first photo you saw there with the big red square. And from that day, I thought, I'm going to take a shot a day, I'm going to do whatever I like. I don't care about what people would think. I don't care if people think I photoshopped. I'm going to photoshop the hell out of it. I don't care about any of it. This is for me. And every day, that's how I got through my quarantine. I was supposed to do my photo book and do all of my sorting of all my photos. I was supposed to be working, to tell the truth. But I did this. And this was so liberating for me that I was able to just cast away all those things that held me to say, I've got to make it look like this, I've got to follow these rules, I don't want people to know I photoshopped it, I don't want any of this, and it was all thinking about what other people would think. But this experience just let me do my own thing. It was a moment, it blew my mind to just feel that freedom to be able to do whatever I wanted. Every day I would just imagine something and I would just think, for the next time I'm going to try and do this and this, and some days I got my photo early in the morning. Sometimes I had to figure it out all day. Sometimes I really struggled. There's a couple of crap shots there, but that was what I had on the day. But it was that moment that was just like, I can do whatever I want. And that changed all of my pressure on myself to do what other people thought, do what I thought I should be doing. It was just like, I just do whatever I want. And it was really a turning point for me. And that was my last one of the day when I put all my buildings into the last shot. I imagined that one for a couple of days. It took me almost all day to get the right clouds to make it happen. Now the last one here was a conversation I've had a little bit talking about tonight, is where you get to the point where right now, I haven't had a lot of time to shoot. My day job, I have a full-time job that's not related to photography at all, and it's killing me. So I have to do that work-life balance thing and turn that around. But it is where I'm at the point of cherishing the best and ignoring the rest. I'm not so ignoring, but now I'm at the point where I'm looking at photos in a more discerning kind of way, trying to pick out the ones that I really love. I'm trying to think about it more before I take it and go back to that A type that I had with the headshot photographer. I want to be the A person, not that B person, and take more time. So these are some of my favourite shots that I've taken of recent times. It's more now about imagining the image, taking the picture, not wasting time on stuff that I just kind of look at it and I have to spend hours editing it and it's not quite there. Just think about it a little bit before I start, take less, and treat it with kindness and respect my work a little bit. And I think one of the things that really brought that home to me was the recent Orloffs, and I was listening to the feedback today, which came out, thank you very much, because I missed the commercials, and this one took out that award, but so I didn't miss that feedback. I was there all day, but I couldn't stay because I had the day job. But what I got from that is, and I'm glad I didn't hear the feedback on my 4. I got a 4 for one image, and I got a 9 for another, and a set of 4. So what I took from that was that image that I got a 4 for, I just went, oh shit, I'll just stick something in, and that's not respecting my work. You know, I got to not do that. So that's kind of what that last sort of slide and where I've got to now is, I'm thinking about the work, I'm picking the ones I really love, I'm thinking about them more before I take them, but I still have to take the photos. You know, you can't just say, I'm only going to take good photos. You need the quantity as well. You need, because you learn from that, you've got to take them and you go, oh, that didn't work. But every now and then when you get the one you nail it, and you look at like that image that took out the commercial, that was in camera, I love this. None of the others do that. It's rare that that happens, and that one I knew it happened. So that's kind of where I am now. So thanks. How did I do?
Questions?
Questions?
Any questions?
I'm curious about, it looked like a drone shot, was it, with the long shadows of the father and son playing ball?
I was on the 8th floor, out my window.
Did you have to set that up, or you just happened to see that happen?
I was seeing it happening. No, I was in isolation. I could do nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was locked up.
Yeah.
So on the 8th floor at the Western. And that's what I said when you took
Oh,
that
the
shot.
image.
I looked at that image every day for 14 days. So,
Yeah.
so those images were all just out of one window of the Western. And,
Wow.
yeah. So they're not great, but you know,
No one really spoke to me.
it's funny. Somebody contacted me and asked to buy that picture because,
Not
and if I've got 1 minute, that picture it makes me emotional because I'm looking out the window and I'm locked up, and there's this dad and his kid, right? I could hear the kid, and it was just like, that's why I'm here. Because at the time we were all freaked out about it, right? That's why I'm here, so they can be there. Yes. It was just like, yeah, it meant a lot to me, that shot. So, yeah.
Did you find out who the kid, dad of the kid was?
I didn't. I posted on Insta and said, if anybody knows, but no.
So you didn't have permission to photograph that kid?
No, I didn't have permission. But you can't recognise a kid's with down, right? No, it was
awesome.
It was a powerful experience being in isolation. Before I went there, I was really scared about being locked in with no windows, but this changed that for me in so many ways. Can I go now?
You're good.
Thanks for that, Liz. Just for context, the Western Hotel, there's a building that you look out west from there, and it's got these beautiful shapes on the side of the building, and it's a building that I've always wanted to try and photograph, but it's so difficult to get the perspective because of everything that's in front of it. And so, yeah, I was shooting a conference at the Western Hotel, and sure enough, looked to my left out the window, and there it was. Now, when you're shooting conferences, you're not exactly photographing all the time. So there I was with a 70 to 200 pushed up against the glass photographing this building. And Liz had done the same, so fantastic. All right, have I got these wrong way around? Am I too early?
No, Steve, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Oh. Yeah, no, I listed Steve.
That's me changing them at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay, I'd like you to welcome our 8th speaker for tonight, Stephen Heath. Stephen's topic is planning an epic project, shooting in very low light to capture dramatic theatre and event moments, has pushed his understanding and confidence to control challenging shoots. High altitude aerial photography is another area he has shot for many years, covering development from Bunbury to Yanchep and everywhere in between. Throw in a passion for handheld panorama capture and you have the perfect recipe for a rather complicated personal project to see just what he has learned so far. Stephen can't wait to share 2 years of planning to shoot one photo in just 10 minutes. Quote, "This may be my biggest challenge yet." Please welcome Stephen.
Because I don't like talking about myself, I've got a video to introduce myself, but obviously there's no sound, so I'm just hoping this will pick up on the sound of the video. It's only 1 minute, which means I've got a 9-minute presentation. If I don't stick to this, it'll be a 29-minute presentation. So I will be sticking to script.
Welcome to My Eyes and all the high seas.
Can you hear it?
My name is Stephen Heath. I'm an international photographer shooting corporate, performance and fashion based in Perth, Western Australia.
Station calling was Foxtrot. Request code for airwork position 1.
As a photographer, my passion is to deliver form and function. It's about what you want the image to look like and the story you want it to tell. My job is to solve problems along the way to make that happen. I have one image, one opportunity to tell a story, and I'd love to tell yours.
Ironically, I'm not telling your story tonight, I'm telling my story tonight to you guys about how it took me 2 years to plan to get one photograph. Like you all creatives, you're so busy in your creative industries, you never actually get the chance to do anything for yourself. So this is the first time I've ever done a personal project. It was combined with something as well. I'll explain, and as I said, I have to stick to my script, otherwise we'll be here till tomorrow. I mainly shoot high altitude aerial photography for landowners like Hesperia, Satellite and a variety of other different industries. I shoot for tourism, and I also shoot high altitude aerials for like governments and councils and stuff like that. I've been lucky enough to photograph Perth CBD for many years from perspectives, unfortunately, that nobody else ever sees. I feel truly honoured to be able to do that. Perth is truly a beautiful city and we are so lucky to have a CBD and an open waterfront. As skylines go, Perth is tiny but it's very unique. Unfortunately, Perth isn't quite downtown New York or Las Vegas. So, being such a tiny city and evolving weekly, new technologies being implemented with every new build means for us, or them, everyone to meet 6 and 7 star energy ratings, LEDs, time and movement sensors must be used. Unfortunately, for the City of Light, Perth is pretty underwhelming to shoot at night time. Or so I thought. It's almost as though we as photographers need new technologies too, like cameras with higher and cleaner ISOs, inbuilt image stabilisations. You remember in the old days when you'd be hanging out of a plane using one of them vibration gyro things? Shooting lower shutter speeds so that we can travel faster. Looking at Jason's shot coming out that car in the tunnel, I'm like, you're travelling at 60 kilometres an hour, 80 kilometres an hour, love it. And faster, sharper lenses. When I was asked to try a new lens and present back on its sharpness and low light performance, I blew the dust off of a shelved project I'd been planning for 2 years. I wanted to create a unique perspective on something seen every day by everyone that goes down the freeway. Everyone sees the CBD from the ground. From a drone at 400 feet, that's pretty much what you see as the CBD. Like an ice bucket challenge, I want to challenge all influencers to pull their finger out their lazy arses and test products way further than simply going to a sports match, taking a photograph and then just allowing the images to come to you. I want you to pull your finger, not you guys obviously, I want influencers to pull their fingers out and actually plan and push something to the limit. I want to know that if I'm buying a new product, it's going to give me something pretty exceptional. As you know, every lens, regardless of the make, has a predetermined field of view, or FOV. Using a little trigonometry, mapping, and a lot of creative imagination, it's easier to plan a unique shot. Timing, however, I found was critical. Whilst my project was shelved, I did use the time wisely and observed all the seasons and Perth's weather patterns. Winter gets very dark early, meaning everyone in the CBD is either still working at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or they've left to go to the pub, the cleaners are in. Either way, the lights are still on in the city. It's beautiful from South Perth. The problem is, though, in this winter time, it pretty much pisses down with rain June, July and most of August. And if it isn't raining, the cloud is so low that we need 1,000 feet of separation between the ground and the plane, or the plane and the lowest part of the cloud. So in the winter time, it's very, very difficult to get good high altitude aerials of a city. Summer, however, is much higher chance of good weather, but the increased risk of bushfires, as we all know, Perth being low, the smoke loves to settle over the CBD of a night time. So again, not the best time to shoot high altitude aerials of a cityscape. For 3 years, I kept a note on the good and bad flying days, and I just waited. Using Google Maps, I'd already calculated Using Google Maps, I'd already calculated the approximate width of the CBD, so I knew it was about 3,400 metres wide. This makes sense in a minute when we're using trigonometry. And now, combined with trigonometry and a field of view chart, I was able to actually calculate the shot that I wanted, and I could then calculate every single prime lens, or in our zooms, you know, the very zoomed in or zoomed out, I was able to collate my exact place that I would need to shoot the same photograph from 10 different lenses. And then that way, basically, I could calculate. So basically, the new 10mm lens is 900 metres from the CBD face. A 50mm lens, you need to be 4,671 metres. And basically, a 135mm lens, you need to be in Coburn. And with a 200mm lens to shoot that same thing, you're basically 20 kilometres away. The most important aspect for my image was I wanted the city to look 3D. I wanted it to look like a 3D panorama. So I needed to somehow shoot the face and the sides of the buildings as well, as many of them as possible, to emphasise this and make it a seemingly impossible photo for people to think, how did you do that? Now, faced with the challenges of perspective, as you know, the further you are away, you look at the face of a building, you just see faces. It doesn't look 3D. It's not that 3D. Now faced with perspective. I promise a lot more planning actually went into this that I can demonstrate in just 10 minutes. Okay, now the complicated bit. Strap in. This is going to be really quick and really intense, okay? I knew I wanted to shoot the panorama with the very sharpest lens that I could, and with a camera that handles low light with ease. When the RF 135mm f2 was loaned to me for 5 days, I knew, paired with my R3, this was going to be the opportunity I was waiting for 2 or 3 years. I'd practiced handheld panoramas for years, and I'd perfected pivoting on the nodal point and moving my entire body around to get, you know, to make seamless stitches in post-production. The aircraft, I knew, would be cruising around 110 knots. Any mathematicians, that's about 200 kilometres an hour, or in old school, that's 56 metres per second that we're travelling over land. If you're interested, there is absolutely no way that you could be travelling at 56 metres per second and pivoting on the nodal point. So I needed to come up with a new way of shooting very fast, massive panoramas.
told you I'll come off script. All right, I hadn't. As we flew the line, I entered the target line. So I'd already calculated that the 135 mil lens gave me a field of view in the portrait orientation of pretty much 10 degrees. So from around about almost 4.5, 5 kilometres away, I knew to get a really high enough quality image, I needed to stitch about 20 images together to get a massive file to really, really work on. One photo, no way you could do the amount of work that you need to do. So I calculated 20 images with this 135 in the portrait orientation. I need to be about 5 kilometres away. So I tracked my track line and I worked out about 19 different shots, and I had to shoot 2, one for everyone for redundancy. I'm proper coming off script here. I had to shoot 2 of every single image as I'm coming along. So shot 1, so to give the 3D effect, basically if you're just shooting the face of the CBD in one direction, you're just going to get face, 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 face. And I've done enough of them aerial panoramas, like you see that they, in the olden days, the wartime, they do this, they fly over airfields and whatever, they stitch them together, but you're just seeing the facade, one long face. Panorama face. I needed to create something more 3D, so I decided that I was going to shoot the complete opposite, and as I'm working along, I'm shooting my way in this direction so that I'm almost guaranteeing to see the face and the inner side, and by the time I'm over here, I'm shooting the face and the inner side. That's going to hopefully give me a 3D way of shooting. So this was, as I'm tracking along, you're kind of coming on an experience with me now. So every other shot, this is just to show you that in this time, that particular spot, that's the image I captured. That's the image I captured. Bang, 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 bang. There was about 21 in the end, but I got it down to 19 to overlapping. Now, these are those images. I forgot to say. So basically, in that time, after 20 images, the last one, obviously, I'm looking back at myself and look at Kings Park. It was all over in 26 seconds, and I travelled 1,641 metres from the start to the finish. So it was a massive, really, really long project to shoot. Okay, and then basically, this is a few of them selections. These single images have been, as I said, it's so dark, the CBD, they need a little bit of work, each and every one of them. Now, this is one shot, so there's 20 of these, and the reason I wanted to do that and not just shoot it in one shot is so that, this is just to give you an idea, this is one shot, and I wanted to zoom in, so this is exactly 1/9, and I printed this at A2, 1/9. This is 1/9 of one photograph, and I printed that at A2, and it's razor sharp. So imagine the size of the entire 3 gig image. So that's pretty much as we're going along there, and then I've stitched them together, presented it to you. Thank you very much. Yeah. 10 minutes and 32 seconds I make that. Thank you. Have I probably explained every bit of detail? Is there any questions? Anyone, mathematician, anyone want to?
Who paid for all of that?
Me. So the plane cost me $1,200, took me 2 weeks to edit the image, so I pretty much lost 3 weeks. Me. So basically before this I used to build scenery for film and theatre, so I was a carpenter for the movie industry, so maths was a massive part of my job. So obviously I'll have to bring all that technical stuff into planning an exact shot. I never do this for a client, by the way. Obviously this is a personal my only personal project. So if you're a client, you're never going to get this kind of work. It still will be of a finer quality.
Unless you want to pay.
Exactly. So.
I wanted to ask, has anybody offered to buy that? It's an amazing.
Well, funny you should say that. I was doing it as a personal project. And then I asked Fitzgerald's to print it for me, and then you know when you go and pick up your image from Fitzgerald's, they jump out and say, hey, let's get a shot of you doing that. They did it, posted it, and I got a phone call from one of the big building companies in Perth, and they said, we want this as big as we can for our boardroom. Now, when I went to their boardroom, I said, look,
the sun beat it in and there's a white wall. And I said, look, if we just put this on normal glass, let's go all out and get zero reflective glass. The biggest piece of zero reflective glass you can get is 1800 mil. So basically, I was only limited to 1800, but another photography company are about to print this at 6 metres. So this will be printed in Perth at 6 metres somewhere. I can't talk about that yet. Hello.
For a personal project that requires so much math and homework and planning, why do you do it?
So for 10 years, I've been in this is my 10th year in like my photography industry, as it were. I've never had time for me. Okay, I shoot every day for clients. I edit. I'm on the phone to them. I give everything to my clients and my wife and children, obviously. I've never done anything for myself. And I don't have a social media. I don't do social media. I don't have the time to do that kind of stuff. And I need it. This image has been in my mind for years, but I just didn't have the technology, or it took a lot of planning. So when that 5-day window of getting this razor sharp lens, coupled with my R3, knowing the low light, I shoot a lot of dance, performance theatre, so I shoot low light all of the time, very confident in low light. I knew that I had an opportunity. We had 3 days of amazing skies in this 5 days, and I rung my pilot up and I said, look, any chance, any chance? Normally it takes 2 weeks to plan a night aerial. He said, mate, we'll do it, we'll do it. So it took 3 days to do, and we did it. And I just thought, if it doesn't work, I've just wasted $2,000, but it did. So there you are. Thank you very much. So I want to inspire you all to do personal projects. Thank you.
Wow, crazy. the things you do for your own shoot, eh? Jeez.
Reconnect. So just a heads up, the laptop keeps like sliding down. Okay. So we're taking it to the thing. Just know that. Try and catch it. If it. I can just use that arrow to go. Yeah. Clicker's in there. See the little clicker?
I'll stand behind the
No, your notes aren't coming up. Hang on. There we go.
Good. Okay, bringing on ninth speaker for the evening, Ryan Amon. His topic is Thriving in the Chaos. Celebrating 10 years this year as a professional photographer, Ryan shares his journey navigating life as an anything and everything photographer. From weddings, events, commercial, portraits, and now teaching at university, and being a father of a young family. Learn how Ryan got himself into this mess and somehow survives. Please welcome Ryan.
All right. That should be fine there. Firstly, thank you everyone for coming tonight, and thank you for PPWA for inviting me to come along to speak. I had trouble whittling this down to about 10 minutes, so don't mind if I stick on script as well, and I might talk a little bit quickly. So, who am I? To be honest, I'm not even entirely sure these days. Am I a wedding photographer? Sure, some days. Am I an events photographer? That one feels a bit more obvious. What about photojournalism? Food photography? Commercial and advertising? Portraits? Fashion, once upon a time a little bit more. and then teaching at Notre Dame and at ECU as well. So I wasn't sure if I should call my presentation Thriving in the Chaos or Surviving the Chaos. The way that I like to explain what I do is that I have a bunch of part-time jobs, but they all revolve around photography. At some point, it was highly recommended to me that I should pick a genre and specialise in that, but obviously I didn't listen, and I've been juggling several different categories for over 10 years now. I actually honestly love what I do, as it keeps things really interesting, and every day is different, while essentially achieving similar outcomes with a familiar skill set. Plus, I get to see different places, meet new people, have all of these great diverse experiences. Photography is just really just a vessel for me to experience so many different aspects of life, and it's what keeps me excited about the job. So how did I get here? To be honest, my evolution in photography was quite natural. Photography was always a hobby of mine, but it was never anything that I thought I would make money from. I was too busy pursuing the more lucrative venture of being an unsuccessful amateur musician. Because of that, I ended up in university studying music production and graphic design so I could record my band's albums and design all of our posters and CD covers. While at uni, I thought it would be cool to do some electives in photo media and video production, even though I already knew everything there was to know about photography. So I was pretty wrong. When I studied at ECU, it was a prerequisite to take photo work, which was using analog film cameras and learning to use manual settings with a light meter. And not only that, learning to develop our own film. I lost very many rolls of film. And then also printing in the darkroom. Only after that class could we move on to digital cameras. I still think that was an essential learning experience that makes me really appreciate the ease of digital photography today. It wasn't long until I changed my majors over to photo media and film and video. University not only contributed to my practical ability to take a picture, but it was my big opportunity to connect with people. People that are still friends and mentors today, people who became my clients or connected me with clients. One of those people I even ended up marrying. She's here today. A key piece of advice if you want to find success in any field really is to get connected. Find mentors, find clients, and then find support when you get overwhelmed. That's been my method constantly through this chaos. An integral unit I took was fashion photography. This gave our class the opportunity to collaborate with fashion students. Half the class hated it, as they would clash with the designers who had their own creative ideas, but I was like, heck yes, this is awesome, and went with the flow with whatever my designer Tegan Jacobs had in mind. I loved every minute of it, and fell in love with the whole creative process, which made me crave more and more of these interactions. From this connection, I would then find myself at various fashion shows, always with my camera in hand, hanging out with the talent and designers backstage and shooting the runway. I plastered my images with a big-ass watermark all over social media. The moment when I realised that I could actually turn this into a job was when one of the designers asked me how much I charged for a lookbook shoot. Shortly after that, another designer asked me to photograph her launch. And then a friend who was working with a production agency on a fashion film got me a job as their stills photographer. These initial jobs then naturally led me into photographing non-fashion events. Lots and lots of portraits, and then even weddings. It also connected me with one of my mentors, David Broadway, who wrote me into shooting corporate and commercial events with him and showing me how it's really done. Like actually though, he would sit me down after a job and tell me what I did well and where I could improve. The feedback was great, and I thrived on learning how to improve my photography by bugging other established photographers I idolised. Master wedding photographer James Simmons was one of my uni lecturers, so I'd study his work closely, and I learned so much about workflow and interacting with clients from him. I did work experience with amazing commercial photographer Francis Andrejich. I used to message Jared Seng, Perth's best travel and people photographer, asking him all about his gear and his camera settings and how he did what he did, which put me on his radar, leading me to work with him. And then Duncan Barnes, the primary photographer at RAC Arena, who's the head of photo media at ECU. And other than him being the reason why I teach at ECU, I get some great opportunities to cover Perth's big concerts and events at the arena and other Perth venues. So I was halfway through uni and already making a bit of cash on the side as a photographer. Now, my method in life, whether it be for better or for worse, has been to go with the flow. And I've been quite reactive rather than proactive, and this is really where the chaos comes in, and in reflection where I've started to learn from my mistakes. So reacting to this sudden demand, people would ask me where they could check out my work. So all of a sudden, after a few sleepless nights, I had a fully fledged website showcasing what I'd been shooting. If someone inquired about something niche like real estate or maternity portraits, I'd comb through my catalogue, and within a few hours I'd have new pages on the website to link them in so I could say, yes, I can shoot that for you. I was hustling absolutely non-stop, connecting with as many people as possible. Even today I barely advertise and just rely on word of mouth for the majority of our bookings. That and retaining long-term clients and working with agencies who find the work for me. You're all probably thinking at this point of the story, not everything could have been all sunshine and rainbows, and of course it wasn't. Some of you may have heard in one of my previous talks about how I was screwed over by a particular client and owed thousands of dollars that I never got to see, and that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But that was a really important mistake that helped me to fortify my base. The hardest thing about running a photography business is the business side of things. Photos I can take with my eyes closed, but business is something that is still a constant learning curve. Again, being reactive to the situation, I looked at my connections, I found my mentors and turned to them for advice and looked at my business and booking system and compared it to theirs. There were some serious flaws with just writing down bookings on a post-it note, putting them in the calendar, making invoices using Microsoft Word. So a CRM, or customer relationship management software, was my first step into my big boy pants and made my business not only feel more legitimate, but the integration and automation between email, calendar, invoicing and bookkeeping was a game changer and also a time saver. The less I needed to think about business meant that I could enjoy the creative process a lot more. And now, because it was so easy for me to make and manage bookings, it meant that I could say yes to absolutely everything and anything, and that's exactly what I did. If I didn't know how to do something, I still said yes and would just figure it out along the way. Sometimes I would book jobs and might not have had the right gear for it, but then I'd get them to pay a booking deposit, which was just enough for me to buy new lights or a new lens or a new piece of gear to add to our arsenal. Even though it seems chaotic sometimes, working with a diverse range of industries has had its benefits. During COVID, weddings and events pretty much went to shit. But at that time, medical and aged care had inflated budgets to cater for positive PR and recruitment campaigns. We jumped on board with the online fitness and e-commerce boom, creating content for several different companies. Those couple of years felt busier than before, and then after that, just increased again. Some of you might be thinking, what about burnout or overwhelm? Yes, it's a real thing. Probably twice a year I get fed up when work starts feeling too much like work. And I jump online and have a look at normal 9-to-5 jobs. And then I realise that I don't need a real job, I just need a new strategy. So as I mentioned before, my method, get connected, find mentors, find clients, and then find support, which is where we're at now. So we now have an awesome support network that really keeps our business going and growing. One of my biggest hurdles was relinquishing control of my booking system to my admin assistant, bringing in editors, and now working with additional photographers to support our workload. But with that support, I now get time to spend with my family and be manoeuvred into taking pictures of them and our puppy dogs. At the end of the day, I still retain creative control of the work that comes out of our business, but nowadays I just get to sleep a few more nights per week. So if you're crazy enough to want to do everything like me, just remember that it's okay to ask for help when you need it, and you don't have to do it all by yourself. Perth has an awesome network of photographers and creatives ready to connect with, and it's still an exciting industry that I'm proud to be a part of. Thank you for listening. Do we have time for questions?
Questions, anyone? Statement, I love the fact you've got more photos of your dogs than your children.
I put this together very last minute, so I was like scrounging around for what images to put, and then for whatever reason I had the dog images ready to go. I think they were higher up on the social media that I stole them from. Cool. Yes?
Of all of the avenues of the genres you pursue, which one is more special?
Special. Oh, that's a good word. I love photojournalism. I don't get to do enough of it. It's something that I'm passionate about and I want to do more of. But similar to Stephen, they end up being passion projects. And yeah, just finding the time. Like, it's something that I would have to find a subject that I really am enthusiastic about, put the time towards. But when I do it, like, I'm so happy with the end result and having that interaction. I teach photojournalism at Notre Dame, and giving the students the opportunities to go out there and do the projects that I want to do is, yeah, kind of the way that I balance it out. But yeah, I love photojournalism. Cool, good. All right, done. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ryan. Anyway, that was absolutely fantastic, that one. All right, we are moving on to our final speaker of the night. I'd like to introduce Tony McDonough from Raw Image. His topic is the changes that I've seen in photography from getting my first job through to present day. The change from film to digital. Please welcome Tony. Champion.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you for staying around for me. I don't know what time it is, but it's past my bedtime. Those who have left, it's all right. We've got their addresses, and I know where they live. We'll be saying hello to them later. I started off on a newspaper, so people talking about photojournalism and documentary, and who made the comment about somebody sitting on the side of the Oval waiting for things to come to them. I did quite a lot of sports photography, including Olympics, Games, and I assure you the gear is pushed to its limits. When I first started, people kept telling me I couldn't do things. You can't do that with that camera. You can't do that with that lens. And that was the thing I loved about it, because I could push the camera, I could push the lens. I started off using film. We processed our own film. We loaded our own film, but that much is 36 frames. You stick that in a canister, and if you're lucky, you get it out at the other end, or the top doesn't pop off. I was extremely lucky in that I had 4 mentors when I was working at the newspaper. Each one of them a very, very good photographer, and each one of them came to me and said, no, you can do that better. That can be changed. Why don't you try doing it this way? Why don't you try doing it that way? And I really feel for people who are getting into the industry now without that support and without that backup of people coming to you and saying, no, are they still there? Can you go back and do it again? You know, that sort of pushing was continual. I started off doing houses, like drive-by houses. I was telling somebody before, we used to do houses for ads in the newspaper, and as I was a cadet, I got the lowest jobs. I had to do these houses, and I got it down to a fine art, so that they'd send me out a day to shoot, I don't know, so many houses. I could do drive-bys. I was doing, stop the car, take the picture, stop the car, take the picture. I got it through in about an hour, which would normally take half a day. So that was a fun thing. And the other one was used cars against a white background. And that taught me a few things, because the camera they gave me was a Nikon F2, one of the best cameras I've ever used. It's a brilliant camera. It's built like a tank. Problem is, it's a click and wind. So it's click, wind. No drives. They did have a drive, which did sort of 3 or 4 frames a second. But it was a continued click wind. Because of that limitation, you really, really had to think about what you're getting in your frame. There was no good saying, I've got 27 frames here, I can just machine gun the whole thing. That not only annoys people, but you miss pictures. The one thing I did, we had an old Nikon F at the paper, and I really wanted a motor drive. So I went out at the races. They gave me the races to do. So I went out, and I was there, and I had this motor drive camera, and I thought, great, this is good. I've really made it now. So I started off at the finish line. Horse was coming down. I went click, 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 click. I think it did about 3 frames a second, which was really fast in those days. I've missed the picture of the horse going past the post, because in between the frames, there's the wind on. And I think you'll find a lot of the cameras now, although you get 3 or 4 frames of the same thing virtually, you could miss the bit that's in between. I've covered Olympics, Com Games, swimming championships, all sorts of sport. I've done more AFL games than, what was his name, Sheedy? Kevin Sheedy. I've done more AFL games than he has. And what I found there is I shoot 3 frames a second. Like, I only shoot 3 frames. I don't press the button and go to 27. The other thing I learned was my good old F2 didn't have a light meter. So you had to look at the light, and you're constantly looking at the light. You're constantly looking at where the light was falling, how much light was around, what you could get away with. My 3 lenses were at 28, 50, and 200 mil. 200 mil was an F4. The other 2 was 2.8 and I think a 1.8. So you're constantly pushing that gear and the film and yourself to get pictures. There was a guy called, very famous fella, called Ernst Haas. He woke me up to the fact that you don't really need the fast film. You don't really need the fast lens. He's got a collection of images that he shot, I don't know, 1/25th, 1/15th of a second. And it was all on slide film. But the ISO, go back to ASA, which is the American standard. The ISO was, I don't know, it was Kodachrome, so it would have been 25 ISO. Now, if you've ever tried to shoot anything with 25 ISO, in any sort of light, except midday, you're pretty much buggered. But I used to shoot cricket with Kodachrome 200, pushed to 400. And that film, absolutely stunning. I was shooting the West Indies in whites, and the West Indies generally have suntans, and they had the hats. And when they've got the hats on, you not only get the suntan, but you get the shadow. And the problem with that is when you're shooting the shadow and the white, pretty much stuffed. But the Kodachrome actually held detail in the face and in the whites, so that was a plus for me. Anyway, I started off with film cameras and processing the film and getting that training with people telling me what I should do, what I shouldn't do. And my first few years were absolutely brilliant. This is one of the fellows I photographed in the first few years, a fellow called Sammy Davis Jr. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet a heck of a lot of people. He was one of them. The first ones with film are copies from prints that I had ages, so I apologize for the quality. That was shot in a 200 mil with my F2. There's a few of them in here. This was up in Broome. It was an initiation ceremony, and I actually went to the initiation ceremony. They told me to wander off into the bush with them, and they were very welcoming. They were really, really lovely people. So they wandered off, and I can't talk about what they did because there are ladies here, and with respect to them, I don't want to. But it was a fascinating time. these things were just things that I did in my first couple of years at the newspaper. This is a parrot or something got kicked out of the nest and they were feeding it. It was a part of a picture story. With the newspaper, I got to do picture stories of 6 or 7 pictures you'd get, and that was so that they could fill in pages later on in later editions. So these pages were dropped. You'd do 6 or 7 pictures, and then they were dropped for something else. The good thing for me was I got to do whatever I wanted to do. And through that, I've done aerobatics in a Blanick glider, Tiger Moth, a Mackie jet. I've landed on USS Enterprise. I've done all sorts of things, including one scary time up at Lancelin when the Australian commandos were dug in along the top of the ridge, and I was there and the Americans were there, and the Americans were invading. And they got sent back the first time because they're all in their nice green shirts and they were walking up a nice white pathway. So they got wiped out in the first attempt. But after that, the Americans got grumpy and they put down that they'd taken out that entire hill where we were with naval shell fire, so we wouldn't have existed. And then they brought in the gunships to clear it up. And I tell you what, I would not want to be on the other end of one of those things. This guy, we were in the hill, this chopper came up over the top of the hill, and the pilot or gunner just had to look at us, and this flipping big gun just went like that across, and it was just the scariest thing I've ever, not fun. Oh, hang on, I don't know how to get back, but that last one was just something wandering through Perth. This one was a mistake. There was a shooting in the lift in Central Park, and it wasn't Central Park, it was, what's the name of the Highlight, where the Highlight 33 used to be. Anyway, down there somewhere. And I walked in, and they said, oh, can you go down, quick, news job, go down. I walked in, walked down, and I saw the gunshot holes, the bullet holes, and I thought, oh, there's a picture, I'll take that. So I was taking pictures, and until you see the guy in the background, they're pointing. They thought I was the forensic photographer, taking photographs of the lift. The body was still actually in the lift. Thankfully, they didn't move. So I got out of that, and that's just blind stupidness. Babies, I do everything as well. Who's that bloke that said he does everything? I do everything as well. I do babies. This is a little preemie. It would have been a while ago, so they've made massive increases in it. I've done a lot of little baby things, but they're fascinating. This was shot at the Barcelona Olympics, and this was shot 500mm lens, Nikon, f4 with a 1.5 times on it, with an FM. And the FM was a click wind, click wind, click wind. I got that and 2 others, and that's called follow focusing. This is one of the skills that I think a lot of people miss out on now, is the ability to be able to follow focus with things. That was a pretty easy one because they're coming towards me, and you can sort of bring the focus in. It's really difficult when they're bouncing around, but it's still doable. But now it's just, autofocus, press it, it's in focus. Oh, hang on a minute, it's missed it, it's gone in the crowd. So you've got to have that backup. We were talking about airplanes. This is an amazing thing. We went down with the Air Force. The bloke in the floaty thing on the left there had sunk his yacht, and this is down Australian Bight. Dinelli, I think his name was. And he'd sunk his yacht, and we were in this Air Force plane going down, and we were in the plane 4 or 5 hours flight down south. And I said to the pilot, I said, how are you going to find him? All I could see below me was all this stuff. I said, how are you going to find him? He says, it's all right. And then we clouded in. And I said, now I'm not going to find him. He says, want to bet? And I said, yeah, go on. So he comes along, we're flying through cloud. He drops out of the cloud, and there directly in front of him is this bloke with his E-perb on. And we dropped another raft for him. And then we went around, because he got the raft. This is an English yachtsman here who went back forfeited the race, went back to pick him up. So he's come back. We're flying over the top. Now, my job was to get a picture of this. This is with a Nikon F5. They do 8 frames a second, so we're coming up a bit. Still a film camera. Still no autofocus. And I was watching, as we were coming up on this, I was watching the yacht and the raft through the windscreen, pilot's windscreen. Now, naval aircraft have a window because they surveil things. So they have a flat window that is optically correct. So you've got this. So you've got the pilot, co-pilot, and then you've got this window. All right. So I'm standing behind them, and this thing's coming up on me. And as I first saw the first glimmer on that of the raft coming through the window, I pressed the shutter, went 8 frames, and that was it, gone. I think I got 4 or 5 of different parts of this as it came together, but I managed to get this. And my life is basically based on panic and luck. It's a mixture of both. It's not. I don't plan. I couldn't do your plan thing with the trigonometry. I'd fail. I'd be taking pictures of Fremantle instead of Perth or something. I just couldn't get the trigonometry right. But it's just pure luck. You know, it's just and having faith, and then sweating for 4 or 5 hours as you fly back because there's no screen on the back to see if you got the picture, and then getting it through and processing it, and away you go. But luckily I got it. I was really happy with that. This early digital, we swapped out from film probably about 1996, 97. I was lucky enough to get one of the very early digital cameras that came into Australia. Prior to that, I'd shot digital in Auckland at the Commonwealth Games. I was the first one to shoot, excuse me, too much wine, to shoot a swimming event and transmit it back to Sydney. It was the first international send of a digital image. In those days, the digital image from that camera was on a floppy disk. Now, probably some of you probably wouldn't know what a floppy disk was. It's a piece of plastic like that, and it holds 1.4 meg, I think. And you can get lots of pictures on that. So that was what I used. I took that out of the camera, stuck it into another machine. It was really cumbersome. There were lots of things happening. I was glad to see the end of that. But it was an interesting experience. The lenses were great. It was like a 600mm f2 or something. And because they were TV lenses, so they didn't have the same optical qualities as photographic lenses. At least that's what Duncan told me when I was there. But it was great. So I sort of had this love-hate relationship with digital all the way through. And in 1996, 97, I was lucky enough to get a thing called an NC 2000E or something. It was a brick of a camera. It was it was about that big, digital. You had to, no batteries in it. You had to charge it up from the car or from a PowerPoint. There was no screen on the back. And the color was magenta. Basically, it was all just magenta. And they gave you this filter to put on the front to take the magenta out, but that never worked, so I never used it. But it was great for black and white. Although newspapers didn't want black and white because they just spent $46,000 on this great camera. But yeah, never mind. Anyway, this is one of the pictures I took again up in Broome. Just a kid. These kids were getting made up for a dance. So there he is there. Again, this is another early digital photograph of and I've worked the colour out as much as I possibly could. In the same year, or pretty close to that, there was a tragedy happened in just off the coast here, where HMAS Australia lost some crew members. There was a fire in the engine room. They brought the ship back at night. They had to use a gas which just kills everything, otherwise the ship would have been in real trouble. So the captain had to make a split decision to put the gas into the engine room, and so the ship came in really late at night. It was I don't know, it was way past everybody's deadline. And I had the digital camera down there. I was standing next to the West Australian guy. Lighting on this was atrocious. It was one of those big orange working light things, those big things, horrible. So everything was really, really difficult. But this is a digital frame. We got front page of The Age and Sydney Morning Herald, and the West Australian missed their deadline. That's how good digital was for newspapers. And these are a couple of pictures from, that's very, very noisy, by the way. It's really noisy. Yeah. Okay, I'll get this really, really quick. So, for the next 20 years, how many minutes? This is the next day. I'll just run through this. This is another digital image from the a cyclone. Again, we got the pictures out before the West. This one almost won me a Walkley. Creeps. No, it was a guy. It was the day Ivan Milat was arrested, and it was a toss-up between mine and Ivan. Mine lost. These are all digital. You see the problems you have with flash and things in there. I did a lot of newspaper photography. There's Uncle Rupert. This fella, anybody know who he is? Ian Paisley. He's Ian Paisley. If you never know who Ian Paisley is now, he's the leader of the, I don't know, Protestant church in Ireland. Ian Paisley.
Yeah.
He's a big bloke.
Head of Sinn Féin?
No, it wasn't Sinn Féin. It was the opposite. Yeah, he was the opposite. Don't mention Sinn Féin to him. Jeez, his hands were that big. They were the biggest hands, and that was at Easter. This is coming into I swapped from Nikon to Canon. These are on the Canon EOS 1DS Mark something. Get that man's name. They're another baby.
He's the head of Nikon.
I've got to talk to Nikon about a few things. Yeah, just little babies and things. I told you I did babies. This is an Aboriginal artist. He was saying, no, don't do that. So I did. This is a runner. She's a very famous runner. I just can't remember her name. But she was good. I used to do some work for Waste. This is a sad story. Bali bombing. We did the 1 year anniversary. This is all this lady has left of her daughters. They didn't recover anything else. There has to be a lot of compassion working. One of my mining shots of Twiggy on his train, taken with 2 helicopters, one on each side, one to kick up the dust and one to take the picture. Money's no object. Some new stuff that we had in Perth. More new stuff that we had in Perth. There's a bloke in the middle there. You might not be able to see. Bit of boxing. He got pummeled. he was a real mess. That's Danny Green. And that poor bloke didn't know what he was getting into the ring with. Yeah, never mind. Tennis. Hopman Cup. And then I switched to Leica. I've always had Leica cameras, and I've finally made a swap to 100% Leica. Why? Because they're simple, and they're built pretty well. And I don't want to really do an ad for Leica, but that's sort of, yeah. So Tim Minchin. These are coming up to some of my later ones now. That's the Blessing of the Fleet in Fremantle. These are my photojournalistic, photodocumentary stuff now. A little baby that was in Wyndham. Something else happening? A lady. This is down south. The burning of the dragons or something. I don't know, burning something. A lot of my stuff I need to tell the story with, so my storytelling moves into my commercial and corporate stuff. That was COVID. That was just a nice old lady who wanted to show me a picture of her and her husband. She had crocheting all around the wall. She'd been sitting in bed, she doesn't leave the bed, and she just crocheted. And she had them all around the wall. Adam Gilchrist. So this is the sort of stuff I do now. Portraits. This sort of portrait, magazine type portraits. Little bit of COVID, Anzac Day, truck. And this is what I do as well. I do this stuff. Somebody else leaving. Jeez. Okay, almost done. This is the last one, I promise. That's it. Hell, any questions? Like, where's the door, or where can I get more drinks? Or... Okay, good. I'm going to sit down again now.
Thanks, Tony. I could listen to that all night. I would have loved those stories. Are fan. I'm pretty sure. And do an actual full talk for you. Can I get all the speakers back up here, please? Yes. Just while we're doing that, the video that Michael from Inception Video created at the very start has been edited and is now currently up on our Facebook page. So please go check it out. I've already had a look at it and it looks absolutely fantastic given the small amount of time he was able to edit it. So we'd just like to give a token of our appreciation to all the speakers for what they've done tonight for us. I hope all of you have gotten something from it and have been truly inspired by what the stories that these people have given us. We normally would ask for anyone else to have questions for any of them, but since we've been getting questions through the night, we're going to stop that because the shoe wants to kick us out in about 5 minutes, unfortunately. Henry, you take Henry's. Just a reminder, again, Christmas party, 10th of December at the Northbridge Brewing Company, 6 p.m, free for members, lots of food and drink included, $40 for non-members or partners that you want to bring along. Really looking forward to seeing you there, and we have an amazing setup for 2024. Everything's going to be coming through. Keep an eye out on the Facebook page, Instagram, and obviously the monthly newsletter. So thank you very much for coming. And let's go. See ya.
Thanks for asking me. On your hour. Not the 12.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear more. I think we need to do a...
I haven't spoken about Billy Joel yet. Paul McCartney. Okay. Hey, John, just give me a yell. If I'm in town, I'll do it.
For sure. We'll sort it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I know it's not your job anymore, but the legend has been